Okay, that music is a signal that you're supposed to come and... What's that? Hit the gong? I think we're going to hit the gong a little bit later, but that music is a signal that we're supposed to come and sit down in our seats and finish up our conversations in the back of the room, please. I think we should change the lyrics to that song is come, whoever you are, and come and sit down in your seat right now because it's time to start the service. Those are the new words. Good morning. Welcome to the San Gabriel Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whether you're here in the sanctuary or watching at home, hello people at home. We're so glad that you're here. My name is John Shaw and my pronouns are he, him. I'm a longtime Unitarian but a more recent member of San Gabriel, having been here for about 2 years, although it seems longer. But in a good way. In a good way it seems longer. I use religion, you're supposed to give like a little bio, and a lot of times I kind of skip it up here, but I'll go in just a little bit here. I'll dip my toes in. I use religion as a path towards enlightenment, preferring non-exclusively the life and parables of Jesus as a means towards that end. That's my preference. I'm happy to report that San Gabriel, through conversations with all of you and through thoughtful sermons, has helped me expand my thoughts and moved me along that path. This includes my acting as a helper for today's service. There's a big paragraph. I got lost in the middle of that one. Today, I am happy to introduce our guest, Eric Hepburn. He is a community lay minister living in Austin, Texas, with his wife, Christine, and son, Simon. He wanted me to let you know that he's very excited for the Formula One race today and that his 50th birthday is Wednesday, putting him squarely in the F1 demographic. He said being invited back to our pulpit feels like a gift. He has been in ministry and church governance for 17 years. This is his third time in our pulpit in recent months, and he'll be with us once a month through the end of this year. Welcome back, and thank you for being with us today. San Gabriel is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association. There are over 1,000 UU congregations in the United States. All of us together are working for a just and sustainable world. Sustaining each other here in community is the first step down that long road of that important work. If you would like to know more about us and learn about upcoming events, please go to our website and sign up for our newsletter. And please know that whoever you are, wherever you are from, whomever you love, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. And now let me go into the announcements. Family Fun Day at Live Oak. I'm just kind of going through this list here a little bit. That sounds awesome. They have a fire truck among a bunch of other great stuff for families to do. November 12th, how many Sundays is that from now? 3? 3 Sundays from now. At 2 p.m., we're going to have a Move the Monument Interfaith Day. So bring your yellow shirts and show up at the town square. We got a lot of different groups showing up for that. Pride Party, Thursday, October 26th, 6:30 p.m. Georgetown Pride is having a block party. That's another opportunity to wear your yellow shirts. Next week, in lieu of a regular service, we're going to have trunk or treating. So it's a costume parade, snacks, and more. So bring all your costumes next week. Sounds fun. There's a racial amnesty discussion series. I personally have been involved in that, and it's amazing the new stuff you learn. It's really a good thing to check out. It's in the announcement list here. If you're traveling, save your toiletries to bring them here. And next, early voting starts pretty soon. I'm going through the whole list here. People are like, how long is he going to go? Through the whole list. And starts October 23rd, so be ready for that. Everybody should vote. It's a wonderful thing to do. And then we have full moon drumming. This doesn't get enough recognition in the church. Sounds like a really great thing to do. 7 p.m., so it's an evening event here on October 28th. Lastly, if you want to sign up to help in the kitchen with coffee hour and whatnot, that's really appreciated and needed, and it's a vital function to be able to sit around and communicate with each other and be in fellowship. So sign up for that. Okay, let's go to our opening hymn, number 360. Here we have gathered. Eric, I'm looking around. I don't see that we banged the gong anywhere.
Uh-oh.
Maybe I should.
Let's do it now.
Let's do it right now. Okay. Let's take a moment to calm down and settle into our service. Here we go. Our spiritual time. Okay, our opening hymn is number 360. Here we have gathered. Joe wanted me to point out that since this hymn is not that familiar, he's going to play a little bit more to kind of let us know the tune. Once through, and then he's going to raise his head up. He can't put his hands up because they're playing. He's going to raise his head up, and that's going to give us a cue to start singing.
As we light this flame, we say a prayer and make a wish that the beloved community we dream of might manifest as a reality that we can all share in. Our call to worship this morning is based on my favorite quote from the utopian novel Island by Aldous Huxley. Now, I don't know about you, but I know that I've found a new favorite quote to add to my list when I'm reading along and I get to the quote and then, bam, I have to stop reading and just sit there and let it echo in my mind. Let it take up all the bandwidth that my limited mind can offer until that lack of bandwidth opens up into the realm of mind with a capital M. In that spirit, we will do this call and response style. So repeat after me. If you can get out of your own way, you won't be in anyone else's. All right, we're going to do it again at a different tempo. If you can get out of your own way, you won't be in anyone else's. All right, one last time. If you can get out of your own way, you won't be in anyone else's. Namaste.
Our affirmation is an expression of our covenant with one another. Please read after me. The words will be projected. There they are. The doctrine of this church is love. We are here to love. The quest of truth is its sacrament. We are here to learn. Service is its prayer. We are here to care for others. To dwell together in peace. We are here to live in peace. To seek knowledge in freedom. We are here to honor our differences. To serve humanity in fellowship. To the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine. We are here to grow. Thus do we covenant with one another. This we promise to do together. Now we've got our Wonderbox moment with Karina. Is she coming up?
See many young ones, super young ones. There's still definitely young ones here. So I encourage you to wander along with me, because that's how we learn and grow together. So if you want to shout out a guess as to what might be in the Wonder Box today, I can't give you a lot of hints from the sound. I heard lots of things, but not actually what one. A pillow, a feather. Yes, no noise can be a clue, right? Nothing. Is there such a thing as nothing? Early plea deal. Okay, I was waiting for that from Frank. Glitter. All right, let's see what we've got in here. Well, it's kind of full. Hippo? Porcupine? What are you thinking of when you see these things? A little horse? Noah's Ark. Collect. Might have been. Beanie Babies that don't. Different types of animals. I think that's what our story is about today. Let's take a look and see.
Bear Came Along. Written by Richard Morris. Illustrated by Loen Pham. Published by Little Brown and Company. Once there was a river that flowed night and day, but it didn't know it was a river until Bear came along. Bear was just being curious. When he realized what the river could do, but he didn't know he was on an adventure until Froggy hopped on. Froggy was a lonely frog who was looking for a friend, but she didn't know how many she had until the turtles showed up. The turtles tried to warn them about the things that could go wrong, but they didn't know how to enjoy the ride until Beaver climbed aboard. Beaver was born to captain. He knew exactly where to go, but he didn't know about the detours until the raccoons dropped in. The raccoons were so excited about the twists and turns ahead, but they didn't know they had to be careful until they crashed into Duck. Duck was so content being right where she was, but she didn't know there was a world to see until, uh-oh. Look at that. Bear held on to Froggy. Froggy held on to Turtles. Turtles held on to Beaver. Beaver held on to Raccoons. Raccoons held on to Duck. Oh, what a ride. So many different animals living their separate lives, but they didn't know they were in it together until the river came along. The end.
That book starts out with this phrase, "It didn't know it was a river," which I think was actually quite kind of interesting on a metaphysical level. But I just enjoyed that message of how all these animals with different personalities enhance that journey for each other, and they contributed in a way. And I think I don't have to draw that picture for you as a metaphor for what we're doing here at San Gabriel. But that's the power of story. And I so look forward to hearing how Eric is going to expand on those thoughts about how building beloved community is part of what we do when we get out of our own way.
Good morning. Now, you guys know me well enough by now to know I'm not going to make this simple. So we'll just start off right off the bat. This sermon has 3 titles. The first one is Unintended Consequences. The second is How to Get Out of Your Own Way. And the third is What's Between You and Beloved Community. Now, as this melange of titles suggests, the thing that is between you and beloved community, of which you dream and to which you aspire, is you. Either you are in your own way or you are already there. This is yet another paradox of enlightenment. Now, of course, you aren't in your own way on purpose. You are in your own way, quite on accident, as it seems to you, quite at the mercy of the great many things far beyond your control. The realization of beloved community, you might hasten to add, isn't about your internal state. It's about the relations of the larger world of which I am a small, nearly insignificant part. To which I respond, yes and no, and you're bigger than you think, more interconnected than you think, and your significance is yet another paradox. The gap you perceive, the distance between you and living in beloved community, is a chasm you can't squeeze shut with your waking mind. A gap you can't bridge with your science and your logic. A space whose depth and darkness thwart your hopefulness. And yet, it is also an ephemeral illusion that is the unintended consequence of how one lives. An ephemeral illusion that is the unintended consequence of how we live, how we all live, how you all live, how you live. First, so that we're on the same page, let's remember together what the dream of beloved community looks like and sounds like and smells and tastes like. This comes from the King Center by way of Jackson Advocate News. The beloved community is a term that was first coined in the early days of the 20th century by philosopher-theologian Josiah Royce, who founded the Fellowship of Reconciliation. However, it was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., also a member of the Fellowship of Reconciliation, who popularized the term and invested it with a deeper meaning, which has captured the imagination of people of goodwill all over the world. For Dr. King, the beloved community was not a lofty utopian goal to be confused with the rapturous image of a peaceable kingdom in which lion and lamb coexist in idyllic harmony. Rather, the beloved community was, for him, a realistic, achievable goal that could be attained by a critical mass of people committed to and trained in the philosophy and methods of nonviolence. Dr. King's beloved community is a global vision in which all people can share the wealth of the earth. In the beloved community, poverty, hunger, and homelessness will not be tolerated because international standards of human decency will not allow it. Racism and all forms of discrimination, bigotry, and prejudice will be replaced by an all-inclusive spirit of sisterhood and brotherhood. Today we might say siblinghood. In the beloved community, international disputes will be resolved by peaceful conflict resolution and reconciliation of adversaries instead of military power. Love and trust will triumph over fear and hatred. Peace with justice will prevail over war and military conflict. Dr. King's beloved community was not devoid of interpersonal group or international conflict. Instead, he recognized that conflict was an inevitable part of the human experience, but he believed that conflicts could be resolved peacefully and adversaries could be reconciled through a mutual determined commitment to nonviolence. No conflict, he believed, need erupt in violence, and all conflicts in the beloved community should end with reconciliation of adversaries cooperating together in a spirit of friendship and goodwill, end quote. I don't know about you, that sounds pretty utopian to me. Cory Doctorow wrote a book that mixes utopian and dystopian themes called Walkaway. Now, in it, a character from the nonviolent walkaway culture is having a conversation with one of the power brokers from the hyper-capitalist and militarist culture, and it expresses this idea. We aren't getting rid of greed or greedy people. We are simply changing the default to being not greedy. Greed will still exist, and greedy people will still exist. But instead of being lionized and lauded for their greed, they will be pitied and tolerated. No one is going to stop you from being an a-hole. We're just going to stop rewarding you for it. Similarly, there's Aldous Huxley's utopian vision in Island, a work he considered his most important. Similarly, like Walkaway, it is a utopia juxtaposed against a dystopia that looks eerily familiar to the modern world in which he was writing. And, spoiler alert, the utopia does not prevail. It is crushed, although the latent potential for its rebirth is hinted at. For my part, I think utopia as a concept has gotten a bad rap, a name and reputation that even the King Center wishes to distance itself from. And we'll get to that. My proposition to you is that beloved community is utopian, not in the visionary pie-in-the-sky way that is central to all the intellectual and cultural dismissals of the term, but in a way suggested by my favorite quote from Morpheus in The Matrix. You're going to learn, just as I did, that there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. Utopia isn't a path you know. It's a path you walk. So let's talk about how you can get out of your own way, avoid unintended consequences, and walk the path of beloved community. There are, to my thinking, two big illusions that keep us in our own ways. First is the idea that we are discrete and separate entities, and second, the idea that we are what we think. For the first one, the idea that we are separate and discrete entities, I could repeat things which you've probably already heard, perhaps ad nauseum. I could quote the seventh UU principle about the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Or I could tell you about how there are more cells inside your body right now that have DNA other than that DNA that you like to think of as yours. But I'm going to take a different tack this morning. Let's go back to Josiah Royce, who coined the phrase beloved community in the first place. Did you know that what he's philosophically famous for, at least in his early career, is the concept of universal mind? Mind with a capital M. Mind of an overarching consciousness in which we all participate and of which we are all a part. Maybe, like me, you had a moment as a child when you realized that every cell in your body was as alive as you are. And maybe, like me, you wondered, what would it be like to be a cell inside a larger body? It would feel just like this, just like you feel in your body right now. Unity consciousness, Buddha nature, whatever you want to call it, whatever spiritual or philosophical lineage best resonates with you, it's all the same thing and the same truth. You are a cell. You are an appendage. Your life is your own, and it is not your own. you belong to something larger. And when we live in denial of that belonging, we are tortured. And when we accept it and embrace it and find the joy in it, then we find our feet on the path we call beloved community. All right, second, and this is a tough one, partly thanks to Descartes and our continued addiction to dualism. Let's try on this approach for size. Dualism exists because of our persistent insistence that we can master the world with our intellect and therefore resolve the paradox of our own consciousness through logical forms. The dualism is the intellectualized manifestation of paradox. We see both sides of the paradox, so we imagine that we ourselves are split, a mind and a body. We are not split. We are mind-body, experiencing paradox, which is a layer of comprehension beyond logic. The practical implication of this, the why does it even matter part, is this. The brain part of your mind is a tool for learning, a tool for noticing, a tool for discrimination, by which I mean telling things apart, not the more insidious definition. A tool for thinking. It is a tool that is at the service of your awareness, which is who you are. You are that awareness that can be aware both of your thoughts and of the mind with a capital M. So when your brain thinks a racist thought or a xenophobic thought or a sexist, ableist, or homophobic thought, that thought is not who you are. The fact of your awareness of the nature of the thought is not just another thought, is not who you are. If you pay attention, you can tell that your awareness precedes the judgmental thoughts that you have about yourself right after you have that unkind thought. Those kinds of thoughts are like plants in the garden of mind you are cultivating. The water, the sunlight, the nutrients in that garden are your attention. You will mistakenly and violently think that you need to pull up those thoughts by the root. And in doing so, you will, as unintended consequence, strengthen them. As Eckhart Tolle says, that which you resist persists. All you really need to do when you recognize a thought that is not worthy of beloved community is to deny that thought the energy of your own attention. Neither argument nor self-flagellation, simply recognize that it was an old thought, a product of culture and conditioned mind patterns, not who you are, not something you wish to feed. Another step on the path we call beloved community. Let me share with you a passage from Huxley's Island. Faith is something very different from belief. Belief is the systematic taking of unanalyzed words much too seriously. Paul's words, Muhammad's words, Marx's words, Hitler's words, people take them too seriously, and what happens? What happens is the senseless ambivalence of history. Sadism versus duty, or incomparably worse, sadism as duty. Devotion counterbalanced by organized paranoia, sisters of charity selflessly tending the victims of their own churches, inquisitors, and crusaders. Faith, on the contrary, can never be taken too seriously, for faith is the empirically justified confidence in our capacity to know who, in fact, we are. To forget the belief-intoxicated manichae in good being. Give us this day our daily faith, but deliver us, dear God, from belief. End quote. And what is the belief-intoxicated manichae? It is, to use Eckhart Tolle's term, the ego. It is the confusion of what you think with who you are. It is Descartes' dualism. It is the addiction to thought, the hypervigilance that promises safety but never delivers it. The endless stream of one thought after another that crowds out your awareness, that makes you feel insignificant in a way that implies powerlessness instead of interdependency. And what is good being? It is living aligned with beloved community. In the words of Jesus, it is the kingdom of heaven. In Buddhist terms, it is enlightenment. In each and every wisdom tradition, you can find words that point to this truth. Please stop looking for what makes the words different from each other. Begin to look past the words to the truths at which they point. After all, words can point to the truth, but they can't ever be the truth. Deliver us, dear God, from belief. Now, I am loath to argue with the King Center, but Dr. King was prophetic, and it is okay that his disciples still struggle to understand the depth of his message. Perhaps Dr. King himself only glimpsed the deeper truth at which he was pointing. Let me put it to you like this. We have believed that beloved community requires critical mass, and this belief has made it so. It has made it impossible for us to be beloved community because we have convinced ourselves that we are waiting on some unspecified number of others to do it with us, or more likely to do it for us. Some critical mass. If you're feeling like we might be on the cusp of another paradox, you are correct. Beloved community is a path we choose to walk. It is a path of nonviolence. It is a path of radical self-love and interdependency. It is a path of loving kindness. It is a path that can be walked alone or with company. There is a moment only visible in hindsight where a critical mass of people are on the new path, where thesis meets antithesis and a new synthesis is born, a new default. But in the words of Gandalf the White, that is not for you to decide. All you have to decide is what to do with the time given to you. And you can decide right here, right now, to walk this path, and you will not be alone. Thank you for your kind attention this morning. It's time for us to turn that attention to each other and live out beloved community in one of the most important ways that we do in this church, through our sharing of joys and sorrows. So let us give each other the gift of attention. Now is a time for sharing how you are feeling, what is on your heart, what is in your mind, what mind with a capital M is trying to tell the world through you, through your life, what joys or gratitudes you want to lift up, what pain or concern you want to ease through sharing. You are not alone. Your aloneness is the illusion that creates loneliness. Let's create a circle of caring together.
Thank you. My name's Chris Patera, and I have been a member of this church for several years. I haven't been able to attend recently because of family concerns. But my heart sank today when I read about this 2 p.m. Sunday, the 12th, gathering down on the square to protest the Confederate statue. And I will share with you that a couple of years ago, I was on the square, and there was a small protest going on. There was also a man walking back and forth in front of this protest with a rifle slung over his shoulder. Now, I was so upset about this that I made a special trip to the police department and said, "Why are you allowing this?" And he said, "Anybody can carry a gun any place in Texas, and they can carry it just like this man was." But he did say, anytime you feel frightened, you can call upon the police to be there. I would hope that in this horrible time with so many upset people, they're upset, they're angry, they're confused. I think this is probably a bad time to have this particular thing go on. But if it goes on, I hope you get the people organizing this to make a special request to the police department to have several police officers there. I don't want anyone in this church hurt. I don't want anyone in the protest hurt, but they very well may be. Thank you.
Clara.
Hi, my name is Clara Dugan. I just want to express the joy that Martha House is in the house. Back from Arizona to visit her sister. It's wonderful to have her. She's a longtime member of the church. I also wanted to say we have several visitors here today, so if you see an unfamiliar face, please welcome them and let them know about yourselves. Thank you so much.
I am the house, and I am in the house, and I am grateful to be in the house.
Amen.
So nice to see so many familiar faces and smiles and get lots of hugs, and feels good to be home. It might be the last time I'm ever here, but I'm not going to say that. I'm visiting my sister, who has been diagnosed with dementia and has been going downhill for months, and it's a really painful process to watch that. And I am kind of the main caregiver at this point, and it's been a hard road, and I would appreciate any kind thoughts and prayers for her and for me. And I don't know if everyone knows or if anybody has made an announcement. Diane Heinrich passed away about 2 months ago. She was a longtime member here as well. Thanks.
Great to have you back, although you're new to me. But not to a lot of people here.
What you said was fantastic. I liked it because you remind me of Phil Collins. You have a voice that rocks, let alone the message. And getting out of my way, there was an adventure years ago when a guide was trying to take me up Mount Whitney, although I'm just a little civilian. And we came to boulders the size of several houses with a wide chasm in between them. And he could have jumped with his eyes shut. He was used to that. And I said, thank you very much for your help. I really appreciate it. I will be going back now. And he didn't look at me. He just held out his hand. He would have nothing to do with me other than holding out his hand and getting out of my own way. I think I closed my eyes, ran and jumped. And so it was an experience of getting out of my own way. The intellect really is sneaky in getting in our way. Thank you for your words.
Anyone else?
People that we know here move away sometimes. We're sad to see them go. We keep up for a while, and then time passes. This Saturday morning, I was missing Facebook posts for some time, and I hadn't taken the time recently to go and find out what was going on with Bill and Kay Stoss, who are with us. I first met Kay in 2015 at Clarice Geiger's home in a connections group. And then later, I had the most amazing pleasure of having both Bill and Kay in my connections group from 2018 till the first part of 2021 when they moved back home, as they called it. A hard move to leave everyone here, especially the members here. And then sadly, in looking up Bill, I found that he had passed away March 6th this year in Tulsa. And then Kay followed him. They were a couple. They were together in a big way. And August 13th of this year, she passed away. So I just wanted to remember them, hold them up, and just know how special it is to have these people in our life. Thank you.
Thanks, Diane. It's so heartbreaking when people leave us, but it's also wonderful that they're part of this fellowship and that they served as a member of this fellowship that we all enjoy. And with that, I think we're done with this for now.
Thank you for sharing. Let's take a deep, cleansing breath and then exhale. I'll give you a preview of things to come. Another thing that gets in our way is that we've forgotten how to grieve. It's not a social, cultural practice anymore. It's something you're expected to do alone, at home, by yourself, in the bathroom, in the closet. It's something we need to rediscover together. It's another thing that stands between us and the beloved community that our hearts yearn for. Thank you for sharing. For the joys shared, we join together in celebration. For the sorrows and concerns, we feel empathy and compassion. For all that remains unspoken, may the caring of the community offer a space of deep kindness and care. Our second hymn is number 323, Break Not the Circle. Please rise in body or in spirit. Lyrics will be projected.
I'm going to play through once your introduction, so before time total.
Okay.
We take an offering each week to sustain this space that we call home and to support the work of our fellowship. Please give generously as you are able. The music for the offertory is When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. It's by Joyce Poley and played by Joe Mason. That was a special arrangement that Joe put together, and I think he did a great job. Thank you, Joe. While we're thanking people, I'd also like to thank our tech crew back there. We got Rob and Keith and Frank, Clara, and also the other people of the hospitality team did a great job. And also we got Kelly and Carolyn back in the kitchen there. Greatly appreciate all their help. Thank you. It says repeat announcements, so I'm going to go over all of them. No, I'm not joking. But well, all I will say is that next week is our trunk or treat. And that's on October 29th. That's kind of an important one because we got to make sure we know what's going on next week here. Now, distinguishing the chalice.
I think you might have that on the brain. I think you might have to give that a little less attention. Just a thought. All right. We close our sacred time together when we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the chalice inside of our hearts, which serves as a beacon of hope. Emboldened by its blaze, we are reminded that our strength as prophetic and powerful people is found when we come together at San Gabriel, which is here in Georgetown to stay, no matter what may come our way.
Thank you again, Eric, for being with us today. I invite everyone to greet you during the coffee and conversation time and get to know you a little better. And don't forget to check your Sunday handout, this one here, for the announcements. Boy, somebody really hammered the announcements on this script. The postlude is Going for Baroque, played by Joe. Thank you all.